WhatsApp number is 0809 4440981. You can also tweet at smooth981. And we're streaming live as well on YouTube, so you can catch the live stream on there. Good morning, Rotus, and welcome.
Good morning, Zibby. Thanks for having me. Good morning to all our viewers and listeners out there as well.
All right, so this is a bit of a follow-up from yesterday, talking about the market's reactions. So, Rotus, how would you describe the market's reaction yesterday, first day of trading to start the week?
Yeah, it was very healthy, 4%, well, 3.99% pop is what we saw with the NGX yesterday. So year to date, the market is up by about 13%. So we're in double digits, helped mostly by the pop that we saw after the inauguration speech from the president, and then by the removal of the governor of the central bank that we saw happened last week. There was a holiday day before yesterday, so the markets didn't have a chance to react. But a number of people did say that once the market opened up yesterday, we would see a healthy return, and that's what we saw. I mean, in total, I think only about 6 stocks. Well, if you look at the gainers versus losers, I think there were 7 times as many gainers as there were losers on the exchange yesterday. So the market has pretty much given its verdict on the decision to remove this or suspend the central bank governor, and we saw some healthy gains. Everybody should be taking a look at the Nigerian stocks for the rest of this year to see how they perform.
Now, speaking about the good performances, the banking sector was certainly the best performer. Why did the banking stocks react the way that they did?
Well, with banking stocks, I think the outlook is that if there is a change in monetary policy, we might see a reduction in a particular metric called the cash reserve ratio. It's about 32.5%. And what that is, every 32 naira 50 kobo of every 100 naira deposited with a bank is held by the CBN. It's sterilized. It doesn't even earn any interest. And most of those funds, they are held with the central bank and basically deployed if they need to be used in case there's a crisis or if there's a bank that needs assistance. What I understand is that most of those funds have been used for ways and means, which has been essentially used to lend money to the federal government. There's been a lot of talk about that and how much it's now being owed, over 22 trillion naira. But the outlook is that if we've got a change in monetary policy, that number might come down. That is 2.5%. I don't know, because they raised the cap on borrowing from the CBNs, the outgoing Senate, the last Senate. So we'll see whether that changes. But the outlook is positive for banks in that they will be given more freedom with a possibility of a less reduced CRR and more room to run going forward. The banking sector has always been one of the best performers on the exchange, but they're really on steroids yesterday because the outlook is that with the change in monetary policy, they will be more free to run and there will be more earnings for them in the future, and also for their shareholders as well.
All right. Now, we also saw a healthy performance for the oil and gas stocks, particularly downstream oil and gas stocks. Why did they do so well as well?
Well, I think that's still related to the removal of fuel subsidies. They popped as well after the inauguration speech of the president. The idea behind that is also similar to banks in that they are the profit margins for downstream players that sell PMS at the pumps. With a deregulated downstream sector, your profit margin as a downstream player would go up, because now you're selling fuel for a higher amount. It's no longer capped at 185, where you can't sell above that. So downstream sector deregulated, PMS now can sell for higher amounts. And so for players in downstream sector, that means that they should hopefully do well. I mean, for upstream, I think that's based on the promise of more oil theft being reduced, more oil production for Nigeria. President Tinubu said he wants to move oil production to about 4 million barrels per day by 2027. Whether he can achieve that, we'll see. But the oil and gas stocks pretty much liked what they heard. And so I think most of that is still on the fuel subsidy removal, in that downstream players can make more money, which means more money for their shareholders as well.
All right, I've got a message coming through from Ogenel Chuko, and he says, what happened in the stock markets is that when you make the right decision, it will attract foreign portfolio investments and FDI.
Yeah.
Let's see. Dami says, imagine the rally when Rotus is named as this new CBN governor.
I don't want that job, bro. That's too much pressure.
Oh, wow. Okay. So why did the market react to the possibility of a single exchange rate? What does that mean for the stock exchange?
Well, it kind of ties to Ogenel Chukwu's message that you just read out, the attraction for foreign portfolio investors. If you've got we don't have that exchange rate yet, but the language from the presidency is that we're going to get that soon. If you have a single exchange rate, then that means everything is transparent. No more large disparity between what's the official rate, which right now is about 471, and the parallel market is about 750, 755. So they would have to move towards the parallel market and try to just get a single rate. No windows for SMEs, windows for PTA, that's personal travel allowance, no window for BTA, no window for medical tourism. There's too many windows. So just eliminate all that, give a single rate. As Ogenel Chukwu said in the message, a foreign portfolio investor will want to come into Nigeria now because they're like, okay, there's one rate, we know how much it is, and hopefully that brings more liquidity into the market. The president also said that, hey, listen, I want to allow foreign investors to be able to take their money out when they do. The airlines will like that as well. Anyone who's foreigner doing business here, knowing that there's a single rate, there's clarity, I can get my money out. So it's still on positive language. The impact, following that up with action is going to be key to making sure that promise is kept. Some challenges behind that, we have to make sure that we can back that up with getting more dollars into the system. But again, it's what the market has been asking for.
Well, let us know what your thoughts are. The WhatsApp number is 0809 4440981, and you can also tweet at smooth981. Streaming live on YouTube, you can catch the live stream and also post a comment on there. Rotus, we saw the consumer goods sector do well. What is the logic behind that?
Yeah, that one is a little. Consumer goods have been impacted by inflation. Consumer goods are basically the consumer goods stocks, basically stuff you buy in the supermarkets, stuff like that, soap, and other items, household items and stuff like that. So, inflation has been impacting the pockets of your average consumer. Also, this removal of fuel subsidies, also squeezing disposable income. But I guess, a rising tide lifts all boats, as they say. So maybe consumer goods were just carried along. But maybe, the president talked about lower interest rates, providing power. If that will help consumer goods stocks, if you can get inflation down, if you can get economic growth, that means the average person is making more money. Hopefully that pushes those stocks up. But yeah, consumer goods, there's been an inflation cloud over the consumer goods sector for a while, because anything that impacts the ability of the average Nigerian to buy something in a store impacts consumer goods. So maybe that's just positive sentiment from the general market floating in there as well.
Okay. Now, we saw telco stocks pop as well. Why did they jump?
Well, I would advise anyone out there to buy telco stocks. They are companies. We are having this conversation on Zoom right now, thanks to the telcos. People are able to send messages on WhatsApp thanks to the telcos. Everything runs on their networks. There's been some beef because of USSD charges between the banks and the telcos. The CBN was supposed to intervene. Also, the Digital Economy Ministry, but I think there's hope that will be resolved going forward. But the outlook for telcos is just positive, with everybody is going to use. Everybody's on their phones. The growth, they just got their payment service bank licenses, and their numbers are looking healthy. So they're going to be doing quasi banking services. They can't take deposits, I think, and they can't use foreign exchange for now. But the telcos have always been a healthy place to put your money because the future for them is bright, more subscribers, everybody, more as internet penetration improves, they're going to make money. So anytime you think about the stock exchange and any particular sector, the question to ask yourself is, how can these companies, whether it's consumer goods, oil and gas, banking, telcos, wherever, how can they make more money? What's in the business environment can propel their services to make them make more money? So as an investor, if you, Zibby, myself, or Triple, Yinka, everybody else thinks that these companies are going to do well and we're buying into it, then you're buying into the future. So telcos have a healthy future.
Thanks for the tip. All right. So what would be needed, though, for this rally to be maintained?
Yeah, it's all action, Zibby. We have to see some. We don't have a cabinet yet. I was saying yesterday, I think Yinka even sent a message whether we need a cabinet and all the things that what the president has done so far. But we do need a cabinet, very important. We need to put that cabinet in place. And then we've got to see more policies that will strengthen growth. There's a lot of challenges. But my particular thing is this, the power sector and also jobs for the youth. So the rally will be sustained if we see actions on behalf of the actions from the administration to keep things going.
All right, let's go to WhatsApp. We have some messages coming through. Yinka says, in addition to the single FX rate, all personal FX inflows should be gotten from the bank and exchanged inside the bank without the receiver touching the FX, but rather getting the Naira equivalent of it. Of course, everyone will see the rate on the dashboard inside the bank. The banks must be made to be open about their FX dealings. We need more transparency. And Gilbert says, on the all-share index of the NGX jumped to a 15-year high. The question is, how sustainable is this trend? In 2015, the ASI equally showed a positive trend, but was not sustained through 2016 to 2018. The market will need to educate the average investor on how to avoid another major market decline of 2008.
Good points. Good points. I agree with that. Very much agree with that as well.
Okay, Tunde says abolishing the multiple exchange rate will be absolutely positive for the economy and won't necessarily lead to inflation. Most businesses are already doing the costing for their products at the parallel market rates. Getting money at 471 is just enjoying needless subsidy.
Indeed. Agreed. Strong messages.
All right, we have just about a minute to go. There's a Bloomberg article, Rotus, and this is about the president's first 15 days in office. What's the essence of this article?
Well, no, they're just saying that he's been positive for markets. He said the right things. The three main points: one, removing fuel subsidies before he even got into office, suspending the central bank governor, and then his student loan act that he signed yesterday to try to get students to get access to loans. I mean, there's a lot to be done in that regard, but he's moving. And then already they've repeatedly said, his advisors and so on, that we're going to get this single exchange rates. So he's hit the ground running. He's put some things into play, and so that's it's been positive so far. But as the messages we've been getting from our listeners, action is what's going to be needed to sustain things right now. So lots for us to talk about, lots for us to observe as the administration continues its work, Zibby.
All right, Dami says not allowing customers touch their FX cash is an Emefiele-esque policy. Yika says, I'm optimistic for this administration. This is the first time in almost 2 decades that we have a president with a bit of finance background, and it's just better days ahead. I pity the finance minister, though.
We'll see what that minister is. Lots of interesting days ahead. Very much so. Very much so.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you for sending your messages through. And special thanks to you, Rotus, as well. Thank you, Zibby. Thanks to everybody. Catch you guys tomorrow. All right, do stay with us. There is a lot more to come on the Smooth Breakfast.